The air was thick with smoke and strange smells. Creatures of all kinds stood inside a large metal hall. Bright lights shone down from above, making everything look cold and gray. This place was not friendly. It was a black market on a faraway planet. People did not come here for food or peace. They came here to buy strange things, rare animals, old machines, and sometimes living beings. John, a human traveler, walked slowly through the crowd. He wore a brown jacket, dust on his boots, and tired eyes. He had seen many strange things in space, but this place still made him uncomfortable. He didn't know why he came here. Maybe just curiosity? Maybe boredom. An alien with 4 arms and green skin shouted, "Today we have something very special." The crowd turned. Everyone grew quiet. A large cage rolled into the center of the hall. Inside it, a girl sat on the floor. She looked around 18 or 19. Her skin was pale, her hair silver white, and her eyes glowing softly like stars in the dark. Chains held her wrists and ankles. A metal collar was around her neck, but she didn't cry or shout. She sat still, too still. "She's the last of her kind," the auctioneer said. "Built, not born. A weapon, a machine, a miracle. Watch what she can do." He pressed a button. The girl screamed, but no sound came out. Her body shook, her eyes turned bright blue, and energy crackled around her skin like electricity. A few aliens stepped back, afraid. Then the light stopped. She fell silent again. "She can destroy ships. Control systems melt steel. All with her mind," the alien continued. "You want power? Buy her." The crowd started shouting prices. 10,000 credits. 20. 35. John watched. He didn't know what he felt. Sadness? Anger? Pity? He looked into the girl's eyes, and for a moment her eyes met his. And then it happened. She leaned forward slightly. Her lips moved. No sound came out, but John heard it. Not with his ears, but in his mind. "Please, take me home." John froze. Did he imagine it? A trick? Again, softer, clearer. "Please, I don't belong here." John's heart raced. He had never seen a creature like her. Never heard a voice like that in his head. It was soft, human, and scared. The alien auctioneer shouted, 45,000. "Any more bids?" John's mouth moved before his brain did. 50,000. He said loudly. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. A human? Bidding? The auctioneer looked confused. "What did you say, Earthman?" 50,000 credits, John said again, louder. "I'll take her," the alien laughed. "You? What will you do with a weapon like her? Teach her to cook?" Some aliens laughed. But John's face was serious. "I'm not buying a weapon." He said, "I'm saving a person." The room went quiet again. The auctioneer looked annoyed, but he nodded. "Very well. 50,000. Going once. Going twice." Someone shouted, 60. John looked around. A tall figure in the shadows, face covered, voice deep. The girl looked scared now. She backed into the corner of the cage. Her hands shook. John shouted, 70,000. The shadowy bidder did not speak again. "Sold." The auctioneer yelled, "To the human." The crowd clapped, some in anger, some in confusion. Guards unlocked the cage. The girl was pulled out, still in chains. She walked slowly toward John, her eyes still on him. The alien gave John a control device. "She listens to whoever holds this," he said, "but be careful. She's not normal." John took it. The girl stopped in front of him. She looked up. Her lips moved again. "Thank you," she whispered in his mind. John nodded, feeling something strange in his chest. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. She was light, quiet, and calm. But he could feel the power inside her. As they walked away from the crowd, John felt many eyes watching them. Whispers followed. Why did the human buy her? Does he know what she really is? He won't live long, but John didn't care. He looked down at her. "What's your name?" he asked. She paused. Then softly, "Lyra." "Okay, Lyra," John said. "Let's get out of here." As they left the hall, the camera slowly zooms out, showing the giant dark market from above and in the shadows. The tall figure watched them leave, asterisk darkness, silence, except for the soft sound of breathing. John sat in the pilot seat of his small ship. The stars outside looked like tiny white fires, but his mind wasn't calm. His eyes kept going back to the girl sitting behind him. Lyra. She was sitting on the floor, her knees to her chest. Still chained, still quiet. Her silver hair fell around her face like a curtain. She hadn't spoken since they left the market. Not even in his mind. John looked down at the control device in his hand, the one the aliens gave him. One button could make her obey. Another could hurt her. He threw it on the ground. "I'm not using that," he said aloud. Lyra looked up. "Why not?" she asked. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Because you're not a pet," John said. "Or a machine. You asked me to take you home." "I will, but I need to know, what are you?" She looked away. "I don't know where home is." There was a long silence. Then, slowly, she said, "They made me in a lab. On a station called XER-17. I woke up in chains. I've never seen a planet. Never touched sunlight." John stared at her. "You were built like a robot?" She shook her head. I dream, I cry." She looked at him. "Does that sound like a robot?" "No," John said quietly. She continued. "They trained me to follow commands, to break ships, to kill, but I never wanted that. I pretended to be weak. I waited for someone to notice me." John nodded slowly. "And then you saw me?" Lyra nodded. Just then, a loud beep came from the control panel. John turned. A red light blinked. "Tracking signal," he whispered. "They're following us." Lyra's eyes turned sharp. "They never let anyone leave with me." "You're in danger." "We both are," John said, grabbing the controls. "Hold on." The ship turned sharply, stars blurring past the windows. "Can you stop the tracker?" he asked. Lyra walked to the control screen. She placed her hand over it. Her eyes glowed blue, and suddenly the ship lights flickered. The tracker signal went dark. John blinked. "You just hacked my ship." "I didn't hurt it," she said. "I just asked it to be quiet." He gave a small smile. "You talk to machines?" "They talk to me first," she said. "Sometimes they're loud." Before John could ask more, a loud crash shook the ship. "They found us anyway," Lyra whispered. Outside the window, a black hunter ship appeared, shaped like a spider. "Long legs, glowing red eyes. It's a bounty ship," John said. "They're serious." A deep voice echoed through the ship's radio. "Return the subject, human, or be destroyed." John's fingers tightened on the controls. "I'm not." Giving her back, Lyra looked at him. "You'll die." "Maybe," John said, "but not before I try something." He ran to the back of the ship. "Come with me," he told her. They entered the engine room. John opened a panel. Wires sparked. He turned to Lyra. "I need you to connect with the ship. Boost the engine, enough to jump light speed." Lyra hesitated. "I've never done that, not this way. Can you try?" he asked. She nodded. She stepped close to the core and touched it. Her eyes glowed bright white this time. The ship shook. Lights flashed. Energy flowed around her. John ran back to the cockpit. The bounty ship was charging weapons. "Come on, Lyra," he whispered. The engine screamed, and then boom, the ship disappeared into light. Silence. They were gone, far from danger. Inside the ship, smoke filled the air. John coughed. "Lyra?" No answer. He ran to the engine room. She was on the floor, unconscious, glowing softly. Her hands burned. Her breath weak. John picked her up carefully. She felt warm. "Too warm. You saved us," he whispered. He placed her gently on the small bed and covered her with a blanket. As he sat beside her, he noticed something strange. A small tattoo on her wrist. Letters in an old Earth language. He leaned closer. It Sod. Project Lyra. Human prototype. Series 0. His eyes widened. "She's part human?" Asterisk silence. Only the quiet hum of space. John stared at the tattoo on her wrist. Project Lyra, human prototype, Series 0. The words didn't make sense. Human prototype? Why would aliens make something part human? He looked at her, unconscious, glowing faintly under the thin blanket. She looked peaceful now. But inside, John knew something powerful slept. He sat back, rubbing his face. What are you? 12 hours later, the ship floated above a quiet moon. John had landed there to hide. No signals, no light. Just rock, dust, and time to think. Lyra finally woke up, her eyes opened slowly, blinking at the dim ceiling. You're safe, John said, sitting beside her. She looked at him. Did we escape? He nodded. You jumped us out. You saved my life? Lyra sat up slowly. Her skin was warm, but her hands still shook. They'll come again, John held up her wrist. I saw this. It says you're part human. Is it true? She looked at the tattoo, then looked away. Yes, why would they do that? They wanted to make something that could feel, but still obey, she said. They thought humans were soft but useful. They copied parts of human DNA, mixed it with alien tech. John was silent. Lyra continued. They failed many times. I was the first who lived. The first who felt sadness, pain, fear. He stared at her. You remember being created? Flashes, pain, voices, then chains. John stood up and walked to the control panel. You're not a weapon. You're a person. Lyra looked confused. That's not what they said. Well, they're wrong, he said sharply. She watched him for a moment, then asked quietly, Why did you help me? John paused. No one helped me once, he said, long time ago. I swore I'd never do that to someone else. Lyra smiled faintly. You're strange. For a human. Before John could answer, the ship's screen blinked. Incoming signal, he frowned. No one should know we're here. He pressed a button. A message appeared, a face, an old man with gray hair, glasses, and a tired smile. John, if you're seeing this, it means you're involved. John's eyes widened. Dr. Karen? Lyra tilted her head. You know him? He was one of the first human scientists to work off-world. Disappeared years ago? The message continued. If you found Lyra, then listen. She was never meant to be a weapon. I tried to stop them, but I failed. I escaped with her sample, her DNA, but they took her before she was ready. They made her. Think she's just a tool? She's not? She's human, more than they know. Her emotions? Her choices? That's her power. Protect her, John. She's not just the key to peace. She's the key to something much bigger. The message ended. John sat still. Lyra looked down at her hands. He called me human. You are, John said. And they're afraid. Of that? She stood up, a little shaky. What now? John checked the radar. We can't hide forever. But I know someone, an old friend, a scientist. If anyone can help us understand what's inside you, it's him. Lyra stepped closer. Will he try to fix me? John looked at her. You're not broken. He's just going to help us understand. Lyra gave a small nod. Okay, I trust you. John smiled. That makes one of us. They both laughed softly, awkwardly. For a moment, things felt normal, but far in space, something stirred. In a dark room on a distant space station, a tall figure stood before a glowing screen. She escaped. A voice growled. Yes, the figure replied. With a human, does she know what's inside her? The figure's eyes narrowed. Not yet, but soon she will. And the human? The figure smiled. Let him stay close. When the truth comes out, he'll wish he never touched her. Back on the ship, John set the coordinates. Next stop, Talos 9. It's far, it's quiet, and it's safe for now. Lyra looked out the window. Do you think I'll ever find where I belong? John answered without looking at her. We'll find it together. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, the stars stretched like white rivers. But one star far away turned red, and it was watching. Bang! The ship shook violently. John was thrown against the wall. Sparks flew from the control panel. Shields down to 30%. The ship's AI voice warned. Enemy ship approaching fast. John grabbed the edge of the console. How did they find us? Lyra was already moving, her glowing eyes wide. They weren't tracking the ship, they were tracking me. Outside the window, a black hunter ship sliced through the stars like a knife. Sharp, fast, and deadly. Its red lights blinked like angry eyes. They're not here to capture you, John said, breathing hard. They're here to kill us. 12 minutes earlier, the ship had just entered orbit, around a quiet planet called Talos 9. Trees covered most of the surface. A science station was hidden below. John's old contact, Dr. Ezra, worked there, a genius who knew alien tech better than anyone. We're almost there, John had said. We'll land in 10. Lyra had been looking out the window, eyes calm. What if they come? John had smiled. Then we run. But they didn't get the chance. Now, the hunter ship was locking weapons. Back in the cockpit, John shouted, "Strap in!" "We're gonna burn engines." Lyra didn't move. She stepped forward, her eyes glowing. "Let me try something." She placed her hand on the console. The screen flickered. For a second, the whole ship pulsed with energy. John's voice rose. "Lyra, what are you doing?" she said softly, talking to the ship. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, but the engines screamed louder. The ship jumped forward at impossible speed, dodging one missile, then two, but the third hit. Boom, metal bent. Fire exploded across the rear panel. John cursed. "We've got a hull breach." "We can't outrun them," Lyra said. There's only one way." He turned to her. "What do you mean?" She looked scared. "I can stop them, but if I do, I might not come back." John grabbed her arm. "Then we find another way." "There isn't one," she shouted. "Let me try." Meanwhile, inside the hunter ship, an alien captain with gray armor stood watching a screen. "Lock weapons. Prepare for final strike." One of his crew looked nervous. "Sir, the target. Her energy is rising." "She's bluffing." Back on John's ship, Lyra walked to the airlock. John followed, angry. "You go out there. You're walking into death." She turned to him. "If I don't, we both die." He stared at her. "Why do you care so much?" he asked quietly. "About someone like me?" Lyra smiled softly. "Because the first time anyone was kind to me, it was you." She turned and opened the hatch. Light filled the hall. She stepped into space outside. Floating in zero gravity, Lyra hovered in front of the enemy ship. No suit, no armor. Just her. Her hair floated like silver fire. Her eyes shone bright white now. Light poured from her hands. Inside the hunter ship, alarms screamed. "She's charging up!" Someone yelled. The captain shouted, "Fire now!" But it was too late. Lyra raised her hand, and everything went quiet. In one flash of light, the hunter ship's weapons melted. Metal turned soft. Circuits turned to ash. The entire ship froze in space. Dead. She floated there, breathing hard. Then her glow dimmed. Her eyes faded. She began to fall. John ran to the hatch. He reached out just in time to catch her. She collapsed in his arms. Barely breathing. "You did it," he whispered. Her voice was weak. "They'll send more," John nodded. "Then we stop running." He carried her inside, placed her gently on the floor, and looked back at the stars. "Next time," he said, "we fight first." Meanwhile, on the science station below, a camera screen blinked. A voice came through the radio. "Prepare the lab. Subject Lyra is arriving. Begin phase 2. Asterisk." The screen blinked off. Dr. Ezra sat back in his chair, staring at the words. His lab was quiet, deep under the surface of Talos 9. Machines blinked softly. Papers were scattered across the desk. Drawings, DNA charts, old photos of a silver-haired girl. He rubbed his tired eyes. "They found her," he whispered. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. A door opened. John stepped in, carrying Lyra in his arms, pale, weak, her energy nearly gone. Ezra stood up, shocked. "John, you brought her here?" "She saved my life," John said. "And maybe yours too." Ezra looked at Lyra like he was seeing a ghost. "She's still alive." John frowned. "You know her?" Ezra nodded slowly. "I helped design her." Before I walked away, 2 hours later, Lyra lay on a soft bed in the medical room. Machines scanned her body. Ezra checked her vitals, whispering to himself. John watched from the doorway. Finally, Ezra spoke. "She's not just part human. She's part something else." John stepped closer. "What do you mean?" Ezra pointed at a scan. "They didn't just use human DNA. They used something ancient, something we don't fully understand. It was found in deep space. Not alive, not dead, just powerful." John crossed his arms. What does that make her? Ezra looked serious. A bridge between species, human enough to feel, alien enough to destroy. John looked at Lyra. She doesn't want to destroy. That's the problem, Ezra said. They wanted her to be cold, obedient, but she feels everything. Fear, love, pain, she's not a weapon anymore. She's real. Later that night, Lyra opened her eyes. She looked up and saw soft lights above her. John was asleep in a chair beside her. Ezra stood quietly at the back of the room. You're the one from the lab? Lyra whispered. Ezra nodded. I tried to protect you, but I failed. Lyra sat up slowly. Why did you make me? Ezra hesitated. Because they told me you'd save the world, but I didn't realize. They only wanted to own you. Lyra's hands trembled. I don't know what I am. Ezra walked closer. You're not what they made, you're what you chose to be? Lyra looked at John, still sleeping. I chose him, she whispered. He listened. Ezra smiled faintly. Then you're already more human than they'll ever understand. In another room. A quiet alarm blinked red. Ezra checked the screen. Oh, no. John woke up. What's wrong? Ezra turned. They're here, already? John stood. How did they find us? They didn't, Ezra said. They never lost her. John looked at Lyra. Her face was calm, but her hands were glowing faintly. She's linked to them, Ezra said. Some part of her, some signal still connected. John stepped forward. Then we cut it. Ezra shook his head. You can't. It's inside her. Lyra stood now. I can feel them. They're close. John grabbed a bag. Then we run. Ezra stopped him. No, this time you don't run. John turned. You said she wasn't ready to fight. Ezra looked at Lyra. She wasn't, but now? Maybe it's time she decides for herself. Above the planet. Thor 3 warships entered orbit, silent, cold. Inside one of them, a voice said, Send the message. The lab was too quiet. No one spoke. No one moved. On the screen, the alien message blinked over and over. Return the prototype, or Earth will burn. John stared at it, jaw tight. Lyra stood beside him, glowing softly. Ezra stood behind silent hands. Trembling. No one said it out loud, but they all knew what it meant if they didn't give Lyra up. Earth would be next. I'll go, Lyra said. John turned to her, shocked. No, her voice was calm. It's the only way. I can't let your people die because of me. You are one of us, John snapped. That threat, it's not your fault. Lyra looked down. But I'm the reason they made it. Ezra stepped forward. That message is a trap. If we give her back, they won't stop. They'll just make more like her, better, colder. John ran a hand through his hair. We don't have time to argue. Earth's leaders will panic. They'll make a deal. Ezra pointed at Lyra. Then make your decision first before they do, elsewhere. On Earth, inside a deep bunker, generals argued. Screens showed the message. Politicians shouted over each other. Panic spread faster than any virus. One voice said, Send them the girl? We don't even know what she is. Another shouted, She's half human. Are we really that easy to sell out? A third voice, cold and clear, If we do nothing, Earth ends. Make the trade. Back in the lab, Lyra stood near the exit. I'll go alone, I won't fight them. John blocked the door. You're not a prisoner anymore? You get to choose, but I'm not letting you walk into death thinking it helps. Lyra whispered, If I stay, you all die. John looked at her, really looked, a silver-haired girl with glowing eyes and a quiet heart. He stepped closer. No, he said softly. If you go, we lose something more than a life. We lose what makes us human. She blinked. What do you mean? We give you up, we tell the universe we'll trade people like parts, that we're just as cold as them. Ezra added, They fear her because she's more than a weapon. She made her own choice. Lyra looked at both of them. Then what do we do? John looked at Ezra. We fight, he said. Not with weapons. With truth. Hours later, a new signal was sent, not from Earth, not from the aliens, from Lyra. I am not your tool. I am not your machine. One, choose my own path. And I choose to protect what you fear most, freedom? The message was broadcast across hundreds of systems. To human stations, to neutral planets, even to enemy channels. Lyra's voice clear, calm. Human was now everywhere, on board the alien warship. The leaders watched the broadcast, silent. She speaks like them. One growled, no. Another whispered, she speaks for them. Back in the lab, John paced, nervous. What happens now? Ezra answered. Now we wait. Lyra stood by the window, looking at the stars. I don't know what I am, but I know what I want to be. John asked. What's that? She smiled. Someone who doesn't run anymore? Suddenly, the alarm flashed red. Incoming transmission. The AI voice said. They all turned to the screen, but this time, it wasn't a threat. It was a reply, a single sentence. Then let us meet face to face. Asterisk, no sound, no movement. Only stars. The ship drifted slowly through the edge of deep space, heading toward a place no human had ever been invited. Not for trade. Not for war, but for a conversation. Lyra stood near the window. She had changed. No more chains, no control collar. Just simple. Clothes. And quiet eyes full of light. John watched her from behind. He didn't speak. Not yet. She finally turned. They want to meet on neutral ground. No weapons, no guards. John raised an eyebrow. You trust them? Lyra answered calmly. I trust myself? An hour later, they landed on a small moon, half rock, half ice. A landing pad made of black glass shimmered under the pale sun. No armies waited. No warships above. Just one tall alien standing alone. He was old, armored, and silent. Lyra stepped out of the ship. John walked beside her. The alien spoke. You are not what we built. Lyra replied, no, I am what you feared I would become. The aliens. Eyes narrowed. You broke your code. You disobeyed. I evolved, Lyra said. I became more than code. The alien paused. What do you want? Lyra stepped closer. To live, to choose, to protect those who gave me freedom. And if we refuse? John stepped forward. Then the galaxy will see. You chained what you didn't understand. You tried to destroy what you couldn't control. There was silence. Then the alien said something unexpected. Then go. You are no longer ours? Lyra blinked. Just like that? No, the alien said. Not just like that. We did not set you free. You did that yourself. He turned and walked away, his heavy steps echoing across the glass ground. Later, back on the ship, John sat in silence. The ship slowly lifted off the strange moon. Lyra sat across from him, looking tired but calm. They let you go, John sighed. Lyra nodded. Because I showed them something they didn't have. Choice, John asked. What now? Lyra looked out the window again. Now I want to see the world you came from. John smiled. Earth? She smiled back. You called it home. Days later, the ship entered Earth orbit. The planet spun slowly below, blue and green and alive. Lyra stood at the window again. This time, her hand touched the glass. I dreamed of this, she whispered. Even when I didn't know it was real. The ship landed in a quiet field outside the city. John opened the hatch. The air was warm. The sky was soft. The wind touched her face like a welcome. Lyra stepped onto the ground. Her feet touched real soil for the first time. Birds flew overhead. Trees moved gently. Children laughed in the distance. Tears filled her eyes. John stepped beside her. She whispered, I'm home. Months later, a report played across hundreds of systems. She is not a weapon. She is not a machine. She is a voice of something new, half human, half unknown, fully free. Lyra now helped others like her, those made in secret, raised in chains, unsure of what they were. She gave them something simple. Choice. Final scene. At the edge of a cliff. Lyra stood with John, looking out at the sea. She asked, Do you think I'll always be different? John smiled. Everyone is. She laughed softly. Good. Then she looked at the horizon, because I like who I'm becoming.